Heartwarming discovery, Millionaire's unexpected action transforms little girl's pain into amazing hope. In a small town that felt more like a ghost of its former self, Emma's heart stood out like a sunflower against a backdrop of faded gray. At just 10 years old, she had already faced more hardship than most adults. With her mother gone and her father fighting a relentless illness, Emma carried the weight of her family's struggles on her small shoulders. Yet, despite the dark clouds swirling around her life, Emma's spirit shone brighter than ever. Her laughter could light up the dimmest room, and her unwavering determination made her a beacon of hope for anyone who crossed her path. Each day after school, she would run to the local community center, a haven filled with warmth and kindness. Mr. Jenkins, a retired veteran with a heart of gold, shared stories of bravery that stirred something inside her. His tales were not just about battles fought but about the strength found in community and love. Emma listened intently, feeling the weight lift slightly. "Sometimes, all you need is hope," Mr. Jenkins would say, his voice steady, setting Emma's heart alight with optimism. One fateful evening, during a bustling community event, Jack Thompson arrived, a wealthy newcomer whose fortune felt like a wall between him and true connection. Observing from a distance, he initially seemed engulfed in his thoughts, haunted by the loneliness that accompanied his wealth. But then he saw her. Emma, with her bright eyes and infectious laughter, playing games with other kids. It was as if she radiated pure joy, teasing the shadows creeping into the hall. Jack hesitated at first, uncertainty tugging at his conscience. Could he possibly break through the barriers of wealth and loneliness gripping his life? Yet, when his eyes met Emma's, something sparked that undeniable warmth of hope. Somehow, she was reaching out, whispering that life could be more than just money, perhaps even beautiful. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the weeks slipped by, Jack began to spend time with Emma. He joined her in small projects at the center, and they formed an unlikely friendship. Emma showed him the beauty of simple joys: flying kites, planting flowers, and sharing laughter over bowls of ice cream. Each moment they shared chipped away at Jack's hardened exterior, allowing him to experience the vibrant energy of the community around him. But all was not without struggle. The town had its reservations about Jack. With whispers of gossip swirling like autumn leaves, his intentions hung in the balance. When he decided to help Emma's family by organizing a charity event, it stirred both hope and resentment. Betsy, the town's unofficial spokesperson, voiced the doubt, "What could a rich boy know about our struggles?" As the charity event approached, tension soared, and storms brewed in the sky. Emma, caught in the swirl of emotions, kept her heart open, hoping for a miracle her family desperately needed. Would the community rally together? Would Jack dare to face their skepticism for the girl who changed his outlook on life? Amidst uncertainty and doubt, all their fates rested on a singular moment of courage that was yet to come. The day of the charity event dawned, a symphony of distant thunder rumbling like the doubts in many hearts. Emma stood outside the community center, her small hands gripping the hem of her dress as she watched the dark clouds gather overhead. Everything was set: tables decorated, banners hung, and chairs arranged, but the air felt heavy, charged with anxiety. Jack arrived early, his crisp white shirt contrasting sharply with the stormy sky. He could sense the tension, the way the townsfolk eyed him with uncertainty. But he brushed it off, telling himself that today was about Emma, about helping her family. He took a deep breath, trying to anchor himself amid the restless whispers and pointed glances. "Hey, you ready for this?" he asked Emma, who had been waiting quietly. Emma turned to him, her eyes wide with a mix of excitement and fear. What if they don't like it? What if it's not enough? She fretted, fidgeting with the bracelet he had given her, the one that reminded her of their friendship. It's not just about the money. It's about coming together, Jack reassured, crouching down to meet her gaze. Somehow, the way she looked at him, filled with hope, ignited a fire within him. He felt the weight of responsibility but also a rush of purpose. As the first families trickled into the community center, laughter filled the air. Emma's smile broadened, she loved seeing her friends. But as the evening wore on, Jack could see the shadows lingering in the corners. Betsy stood at the back with her arms crossed, her expression a mix of wariness and skepticism. What does he really want? She whispered to anyone standing close enough to hear. The night unfolded with moments that stirred hearts, games, music, and a silent auction with homemade crafts. People began to relax, to forget their reservations. Emma darted around, her enthusiasm infectious, and slowly the weight against Jack's chest began to lift. He felt accepted, almost as if he belonged to this community that once seemed so foreign, but just as the energy peaked, the moment of truth arrived. Jack stepped up to address the crowd, his heart racing. Emma stood beside him, looking up with those trusting eyes. "Thank you all for coming," he started, his voice quivering. "I know I'm new here, and maybe you're not sure why I'm doing this." Before he could finish, a loud clap of thunder interrupted him, rattling the windows. Betsy scoffed loudly, "See? Even the weather doesn't support this." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd as heads turned, and Jack's heart sank. "Wait!" Emma piped up, stepping forward, her small stature dwarfed by the tension around her. Everyone fell silent, curiosity piqued. "This isn't about money. It's about trying." Her voice was soft but resolute, radiating the warmth she often shared with Jack. "Jack cares. He cares about us." Suddenly, tears sprang to Jack's eyes as he heard the sincerity in her words, realizing how much she believed in him. The tentative crowd shifted, uncertainty mingling with compassion, and just like that, a spark ignited. People began to clap, first one or two, then a wave of applause swept through the room. Emma beamed. Jack felt the warmth suffuse the air as he stepped forward, emboldened by Emma's courage, but then, an unexpected visitor entered, the local news reporter. With them came a flood of new questions, and uncertainty washed over Jack once more. Would this moment etched in hope be turned into fodder for gossip, or would it be a catalyst for a change that the town desperately needed? Emma's hand slipped into his, and he braced himself. The real battle was just beginning. Jack felt the weight of all those eyes on him, and for a moment, he was frozen. The laughter and applause from moments before turned into a chorus of whispers. Emma's grip on his hand reassured him that small but fierce connection grounded him amidst the rising tide of uncertainty. The news reporter, bright lights flashing, made a beeline for the stage. "Jack, what motivated you to organize this event?" The question rang out in the hushed room like a lightning bolt, bringing Jack back to the present. That he took a deep breath, focusing on Emma's eyes. I thought we could all do something good, together," he managed. It wasn't the grand response he had rehearsed in his head, but the honesty felt right. The murmurs swirled, but he continued. "Emma inspired me. She reminds me that even small efforts can make a difference." A low-voiced debate broke out among the crowd. Jack caught snippets as he scanned the faces, trying to gauge the sentiment. Is he really genuine? What is he getting out of this? But he brought us together. Betsy stood with her arms still crossed, her expression unfazed, but even she seemed to waver slightly. The walls around the community center felt less imposing now. It was as if the thunder outside had sparked some needed clarity. "Emma!" A voice suddenly called. It was Mrs. Thompson, a friendly woman always carrying a pie or cookies. "Come here and tell us why you think this is important." Eyes shifted from Jack to Emma, now under the spotlight. She shuffled forward, her small fingers still clinging tightly to Jack's. Well, she stuttered, then took a steadying breath. "My family needs help, and other families do too. We shouldn't be ashamed. We should be helping each other because that's what friends do." The sincerity in her young voice silenced the room. More than a few adult eyes glistened with tears. Jack's chest swelled with pride. It wasn't just the event anymore, it had turned into something much larger, a community gathering fueled by genuine care and support. Suddenly, a woman from the back stepped forward. "I think we should donate. Let us fill up that donation box." She raised her hand, her enthusiasm infectious. With that, a ripple of agreement surged through the crowd. Donations poured in, cans of food, clothes, and checks. Jack rushed to help Emma, who couldn't contain her delight. "Look at them, Jack. They really care." With a surge of adrenaline, Jack took the mic again, feeling the energy shift, feel the community coming alive. "This isn't just about today. This is a first step. Let us come together moving forward, not just for Emma but for everyone who needs us." The applause turned to cheers, and as he spoke, something shifted deep within him. He wasn't just an outsider anymore, he was part of a vision, a change, and this new collective heartbeat pulsing through the room filled him with electric hope. But as the donations continued, a figure at the back caught Jack's attention, a shadow moving toward the exit. Betsy looked back at him, her face a mask of conflict as she lingered in the doorway. Was she convinced or still skeptical? Just as he was about to step down and approach her, the lights flickered, and a loud clap of thunder rumbled outside, drowning out everything else. The storm wasn't done yet. Would it bring more rain or simply drown this moment? He turned to Emma, her eyes wide with worry. "Stay by me, okay?" he whispered, bracing himself for whatever was about to come. As the crowd started to settle, an uneasy tension layered the air again. Emma squeezed his hand tighter, and suddenly, he knew their fight wasn't over. They had made progress, but the real challenge was still waiting just beyond the stormy skies. The lights flickered again and then steadied, casting a dramatic glow over the room. Jack could hear the wind howling outside, as if the storm itself was pulling at the emotions inside. The buzz of hope they had created felt fragile, like a glass sculpture ready to shatter. He glanced at Emma, who was peering nervously toward the exit where Betsy lingered. "Do you think she is going to leave?" Emma asked, her small voice barely rising above the murmurs. "I don't know," Jack replied, trying to keep his own tone steady. "But let us not lose focus here. What we're doing is important." The crowd was warming up again, sharing stories of their own struggles and triumphs. Jack listened, heart swelling, as neighbors revealed how they each faced private battles, yet found support in one another. It felt like they were peeling back the layers of shame and isolation that had cloaked them for so long. "Donations keep coming." A man near the front called out, lifting a box overflowing with canned goods. "We should keep this going. Let us aim for £1,000. The room erupted into cheers, and Jack's heart raced. He realized that this wasn't just about Emma or even their community, it was about all of them standing together against whatever storms lay ahead. "Jack!" Mrs. Thompson shouted, her eyes wide with excitement. "Why don't we organize some regular gatherings? We can make it a monthly thing." "Yes. That's a great idea." Jack shouted back, the realization washing over him like warm sunshine breaking through clouds. This was something that could last, that could infuse their community with strength and spirit. One event had sprouted into a movement. As ideas bounced around, Betsy finally stepped inside, the wind whipping behind her as she closed the door. Jack's heart skipped a beat. Was she here to join them or to derail what they had built? "Can I speak?" she said, her voice strong yet unsure. The room quieted, all eyes turning toward her. Jack felt Emma's hand go cold in his. What is she going to say? "Let us listen, okay?" he encouraged gently, squeezing her hand. Betsy took a deep breath, her expression shifting, revealing vulnerability. "I came here tonight not really believing in any of this. But listening to you all, to the stories, to Emma and Jack, it's made me reconsider everything. We really are stronger together. So, I want to help." Stunned silence followed. Then, slowly, people began to clap. Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. This was the breakthrough they needed. "And I have connections," Betsy continued, her confidence building. "We can reach out to local businesses for support, maybe even find someone who can match our donations." Jack felt tears prick at the back of his eyes. Could it really be happening? Was the community finally rallying together? But just as hope surged within him, the power flickered again, casting shadows that loomed in and out of the corners of the room. Murmurs rippled through the audience, uncertainty creeping back in. "What about the storm?" someone called out. "Will it ruin everything?" Jack took a breath, knowing now wasn't the time for worry. "We started this as a way to fight the storms in our lives, and that doesn't stop just because the weather gets rough outside. We've come together tonight despite everything." The crowd responded with a roar of approval, but hesitation lingered in the air like mist. Jack could feel Emma's heart race in sync with his. They were still vulnerable, still unsure what lay ahead, and just then, as if the sky itself was listening, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room, momentarily lighting up every face, every emotion. Jack felt a tingling rush of something. Was it fear or excitement? In that spark of light, new possibilities seemed to shimmer. He looked back at Betsy, whose eyes were full of fire. "We're doing this!" she exclaimed. "Yes, we are!" Jack shouted back, feeling the weight of the moment. But outside, the storm raged, a reminder that the real test was still to come. Would they hold their ground when the winds blew the hardest? With hearts racing, Jack and Emma exchanged another determined glance, knowing they were just at the beginning of a much larger journey. What would they uncover when they faced the storm together? The energy in the room crackled with both excitement and apprehension as the crowd began to discuss their next steps. Jack could see the spark of determination lighting up faces, but the shadows of doubt still danced in the corners of the room. The wind continued to howl outside, a constant reminder of nature's power and unpredictability. Emma tugged on Jack's sleeve, her eyes wide with concern. "What if we can't keep this going? What if people stop coming?" "We can't think like that," he replied, forcing a smile. "Look at what we've started. We are a part of something bigger now." He glanced around the room, meeting the gaze of Mrs. Thompson, who was already scribbling down ideas on a notepad. A group of teenagers was huddled together, brainstorming ways to raise awareness through social media. "Maybe we could create a community bulletin board," one of them suggested. "Keep everyone updated." "Yes. A place where we can not only share news but also display kindness, acts of service in the community," Mrs. Thompson added eagerly. Jack watched as the energy built. He could see confidence sprouting, taking root before his very eyes. Suddenly, Betsy's earlier words echoed in his mind. They could help each other. They weren't alone in this, but just as hope surged, another gust of wind barreled against the building, rattling the windows. A collective hush fell over the crowd. Jack could feel the atmosphere shift again, undercurrents of worry flaring up. "Let us get to the heart of the matter," Jack called out, standing up on a chair. The room turned to him, eyes narrowed, some hopeful, others skeptical. "What do we want?" "Support," someone yelled from the back. "Unity," another called. "Yes," Jack shouted, the rhythm of their voices igniting a flame of unity. "We want to make things better for ourselves and each other. We want to build a network that doesn't crumble, even when the storm comes." As the crowd cheered, desperation dissipated like fog under a bright sun. He saw moms nodding in agreement, fathers raising their fists. A boy in the corner smiled nervously but shouted words of encouragement too. It felt like stepping into a circle of strength. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. This time, they dimmed for longer, a pause that made Jack's heart race. "We can do this," he urged, even in the dark. And then came the sound. A low rumbling, unmistakable. Not just the storm, but a different noise, a crunching, then a cracking. The room shifted with confusion as people strained their ears. is it? Emma began, her voice trembling. Before she could finish, the windows rattled ominously, and a loud crack splintered through the air. Jack grabbed her hand, his grip firm. "Stay calm," he ordered, though fear gnawed at his insides. Just then, the lights went out completely, plunging them into darkness. Gasps filled the room, mixed with the sound of the storm continuing its raging battle outside. Jack's heart pounded in his chest. "Everyone, stay together," he shouted. "Let us not panic. We can light up the darkness with our voices." In the blackness, he searched for familiar faces, the sound of Emma's breathing steadying him. He could feel the tension in the air, a collective anxiety that crackled like electricity. "Let us sing," someone called out from the back. "Sing," Jack thought, but then he realized it might give them strength. "That's a great idea," he yelled back into the dark. A few brave souls started humming a tune, and then voices joined in, like stars twinkling in a night sky. They sang, combining their emotions, pushing back against the storm, pushing forward with each note. As the music floated through the air, Jack felt something shift. Perhaps it was the hope beginning to grow again, kindling in their hearts. But then, amidst the song, an unexpected sound sliced through. It wasn't thunder this time. It was laughter. Jack turned in disbelief before the sound hit him fully. Laughter in the middle of uncertainty. With his heart racing, he thought about how laughter could emerge from the storm. At that moment, he realized they were stepping into uncharted territory, something momentous. But more surprises were about to unfold. What awaited them once the lights flickered back on? Would they still carry that laughter through the tempests of life ahead? The laughter continued to echo through the dark, warm and unexpected, daring to pierce the heaviness that hung in the air. Jack felt a wave of warmth wash over him. Emma's fingers squeezed his as the brilliant gleam of hope began to spark anew. Each note of their song was a reminder that they could find light, even if the world outside was battered by the storm. "Can you believe it?" she whispered, her voice both astonished and joyful. "What?" Jack asked, though he had a feeling he already knew. "That we can still laugh and sing, even now." "Together," she replied, her words a bridge over the chasm of fear. His heart raced at the thought. "You're right. It's like we're stronger than the storm." Laughter bubbled again, mingling with the melody. It grew louder, giving the dark room a feeling of community that surged toward the walls. Jack could hear the whispers of hope weaving through the laughter. This wasn't just about enduring the storm, it was about embracing the moment. And then, in the flickering shadows, someone spoke. "What about our stories?" It was Mrs. Thompson, her voice somehow reaching everybody in the darkness. "Our stories will give others courage. Let us share them." The crowd went quiet, the shared pause hanging heavy with possibility. Uncertainty lingered like fog, but Jack could feel the stirring of resolve. The storm raged outside, yet here in this room, they were safe. They were a family, if only for now. "Who wants to go first?" he challenged, still standing atop the chair, his voice echoing with renewed strength. A brave young girl spoke, her voice quavering but growing stronger with each word. "I was scared when the storm hit. I didn't know what to do, but my mom told me to be brave. If I can be brave, then so can all of you." A round of applause erupted, filling the room with warmth. Another person chimed in, "I've lost people I care about, and sometimes it makes me feel alone. But tonight, I don't feel alone. We're together." More voices joined the chorus of shared experiences, casting shadows over doubt and lighting hope where darkness had prevailed. Each story added texture to their bond, creating a tapestry of lives interwoven with struggles and triumphs. Jack's heart swelled. The storm outside seemed distant now, almost muffled beneath the melody of their voices. The fear that had blurred his vision began to fade. Perhaps there was strength not just in the stories, but in the shared act of telling them. "Let us promise each other something," he proposed, his voice steadying, "that we'll always share our stories. Even when the lights go out. Can we do that? A chorus of yes. Bounced around, a unified front against the chaos of the world outside. As laughter rang again, the lights flickered back on, revealing bright faces surrounding Jack. Their expressions reflected a mixture of surprise and relief, but above that glimmered something rarer: hope, alive and vibrant, but their victory was short-lived. Jack's gaze fell to the windows, where fierce winds had twisted the trees and now hurled debris at the building. Nature's wrath had not eased. And in that moment, someone at the back cried out, "Look!" Jack turned to see dark shapes forming in the distance. Shadows moving erratically. Jack's heart sank. Had they come to take their newfound unity? Or was this a new challenge about to descend upon them? Just then the laughter fell silent. The room seemed to hold its breath as fear crept back in, wrapping around the hope they had just ignited. Would they be able to face this unexpected turn? As he looked into Emma's wide eyes, uncertainty settled in. What was lurking just beyond the walls? Jack's heart raced. The shadows outside twisted and turned like dark serpents, and he could almost hear the whispers from the wind, bringing a chill that smothered their laughter. The group shifted uneasily, glancing around as if daring the shapes outside to approach. "Maybe it's just the wind," Emma whispered, her voice barely breaking the tension. Jack wanted to believe her, he wanted to focus on the hope they had ignited. But that flicker was fragile, and the growing shadows did nothing to reassure him. From the back, Mrs. Thompson rose and clutched the podium tightly. "Everyone, we need to stay calm. Whatever those shadows are, we can handle it together," she said, her voice strong despite the tremor behind it. As she spoke, Jack felt the weight of her words. They had just found solace in their storytelling, now they had to live those stories. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and addressed the crowd again. "We've faced challenges before. We can do it again. We just need each other." "Let us turn the lights on," shouted a young boy. "If they see us, maybe they won't come in." A murmur of agreement rose through the crowd, as people began to look for flashlights and candles to battle against the looming darkness outside. Jack and Emma began to distribute the small lights, illuminating faces that wore a mixture of determination and panic. As Jack helped a little girl find a flashlight, he caught her eye. There was something resilient in her gaze, a quiet fire that reminded him of why they gathered. Together, they flicked the switches, and beams of light filled the room, pushing back some shadows and embracing the warmth of camaraderie. "We're not just standing here." Emma spoke up, her voice rising above the nervous energy. "We have each other. Look around. We can share light. Let us share our strength." The group rallied, shining their flashlights toward the walls, creating patterns that danced like spirits on the surfaces. Slowly, what had once felt like encroaching darkness transformed into something vibrant, a tapestry of light that connected them. Still, the shapes outside didn't relent. They swirled, shadows stretching like fingers toward the glass. Jack felt the prickling fear return, knotting his stomach. He glanced at Emma, whose face reflected a whirlwind of concern and courage, and he squeezed her hand tighter. "What if they try to come in?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Jack swallowed hard. "Then we stand together," he replied. "No matter what. We won't let this tear us apart." As if on cue, a loud crashing sound echoed from outside, rattling the windows. A collective gasp erupted in the room, and Jack's heart pounded as panic flickered across everyone's faces. "Stay close," Mrs. Thompson called out, gathering the children around her. "We are one family." Just then, a figure appeared at the window, silhouetted against the storm. Jack's breath hitched. What is that?" Chill washed over them, and silence fell as the dark shape pressed against the glass, a form scarcely human yet somehow familiar. Jack's mind raced. They had fought the storm, crafted stories together. Now, could they face this new terror? Should they confront this dark figure? Should they open the door? Or was it time to fortify their unity against something unseen? The question lingered thick in the air, begging for an answer as the echoes of fear brushed through the group again. What would the figure on the other side mean for their safety? Jack's instincts kicked in. The group was still as they all huddled together, the weak glow of their flashlights barely pushing back the shadows that seemed to come alive. The figure outside loomed larger, as if it could sense their fear, feeding off it like a predator. "Everyone, take a step back," Jack commanded, his voice steady despite the pulse racing in his ears. He felt Emma squeeze his hand tighter, her fingers digging into his skin as if she would pull him back from the brink of the unknown. "What if it's here to hurt us?" A small voice quivered from behind Mrs. Thompson. Jack turned, his heart aching for the kids who looked at him with wide, innocent eyes. "It might just be lost," he said, trying to inject some calm into the storm of unease. "Or maybe it needs our help. We can't let fear decide for us." The whispers ricocheted among the crowd, hesitation hanging in the air. They all could feel the weight of his words. Jack took a careful step toward the window, heart pounding, not just with fear but deep-rooted hope. "Remember our stories? The ones we created?" He called out, his voice echoing in the room. "In those tales, every dark moment was followed by light. This figure could be a part of our story, we have to be brave enough to find out." Emma looked at him, and he caught a flicker of admiration in her eyes. She nodded slightly, the spark returning. "Jack's right. We can't let fear win. Not now. Not ever." With newfound courage, a few more people joined Jack, inching toward the window. The figure pressed closer, its shadow morphing but remaining indistinct. "Who are you? What do you want?" Jack called out, his voice rising above the tension. Silence responded before the figure shifted slightly. Then, a muffled voice emerged, a blend of despair and urgency. "Help, I'm trapped." Jack felt his breath hitch. Trapped? His eyes darted back to the faces of his friends, uncertainty mingling with a nascent sense of duty. Mrs. Thompson moved to the front, determination shining through her. "Let us not panic. First, let us make sure it's safe. We will help, but we have to be smart about this." Jack's heart raced as he thought of the risks. What if they opened the door only to expose themselves to a greater danger? But then, a small, weak voice from the figure echoed in his mind. "What if it is just as scared and alone as we are?" He whispered to Emma, who stood close beside him. "Maybe it's time to show kindness," she replied softly. As they deliberated, the figure continued to plead, its voice barely audible over the wind's howl. "Please, I need help. I can't hold on much longer." Jack faced the group, their expressions a mirrored blend of fear and resolve. "What do we want to do?" he asked, seeking assurance in their eyes. "Help!" a little girl cried, her spirit bright in the midst of darkness. "Help!" The chorus grew louder, rhythms combining, unifying. This was no longer just about a shadow, it was about the kind of people they wanted to be. Jack looked back to Emma, nodding to her in silent agreement. "All right," he said. "On the count of 3, we'll open the door." He clasped his hands. 1, 2, 3. As they pulled the door open, a blast of cold air surged in, carrying with it the scent of rain-soaked earth and the muted cries of the figure outside. In that moment, the darkness thickened around them. Jack held his breath, wide-eyed with anticipation. The figure stepped into the light, revealing something that no one expected. What truth lay hidden behind that familiar form, and would they be ready to confront it together? The figure slowly emerged from the darkness, and gasps filled the room. It wasn't just a shadow, but a person, a young boy, dirty and disheveled, with tear-stained cheeks that glistened in the dim light. He wore ragged clothes that hung from his small frame, and his eyes darted back and forth among the group, filled with both fear and hope. Jack felt a rush of emotions welling up inside him. "It's okay, we're here to help," he whispered, trying to ease the boy's obvious distress. The others shifted uneasily, still trying to process the reality of the situation. "Please, I was playing near the old barn," the boy stammered, trembling as he spoke. I didn't mean to get lost. I fell into a pit and couldn't climb out. His voice cracked, and Jack's heart ached at the sight of him. Mrs. Thompson stepped forward against the tide of apprehension. We can help you, sweetheart. We just need you to take a deep breath and stay calm. She knelt down to meet his gaze, her warmth inviting. The boy looked past her at the other faces around him, some scared, some curious, but all focused on him. Jack felt a sense of solidarity growing amongst the group. This was no longer a threat, but a shared mission. Can you show us where you fell? Jack asked gently, hoping to soothe the fear gripping both the boy and the audience. He could see the way their eyes softened, the tension dissipating slightly. The boy nodded, tears still shimmering but determination flaring within him. Yes, if you come with me. As they moved toward the door, Jack hesitated. This was a trip into uncertainty, but he had already embarked on a journey driven by hope. Everyone, stay close. The group wrapped around the boy like a protective shield as they stepped out into the cold night air. The rain had begun to fall lightly, a soft patter against the earth that quieted the outside world. Jack could feel Emma's hand slip into his, grounding him in the chaos. The boy led them down a narrow, overgrown path hidden behind the barn, shadows still dancing around them like whispers of doubt. There! He exclaimed and pointed at a small, muddy pit concealed by dense underbrush. I fell in down there. Jack peered over the edge, feeling the cold seep through the soles of his shoes. It wasn't deep, but to a small boy, it could have felt like a world of despair. Okay, he said, looking back to the others. We can help. But we need to be careful. One by one, they formed a human chain. Jack at the edge of the pit, Emma gripping tightly to his belt, Mrs. Thompson positioning herself behind to support the boy. On 3, we'll pull him up. 1, 2, 3. With a combined effort, they hoisted the boy out, the mud clinging to him like a long-sought grasp of safety. When he was finally on solid ground, he spun around, tears now mingling with a radiant smile. Thank you. Thank you so much. He exclaimed, and Jack felt an overwhelming sense of joy cascade through him. It was as if the shadows around them had receded, exposing not just a boy rescued but a lesson learned. But just as relief washed over Jack, he noticed something glinting in the mud behind the boy, a shimmer of something buried beneath the surface. He bent down, digging gently with his fingers, carefully removing the dirt. His heart raced as he uncovered what appeared to be a small, weathered locket. As he opened it, a photograph fell out, revealing a family that looked strikingly familiar. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Who were they? And why did this discovery feel like an unraveling thread that could lead back to the answers they all desperately sought? Jack held the locket tightly, his pulse quickening as he looked at the boy and then back at Emma. This small treasure felt like a key, a connection woven into the very fabric of their town's story. Do you recognize them? He asked the boy, who stared wide-eyed at the photo. The boy shook his head. No, but I feel like I've seen them somewhere. It's familiar. Anxiety bubbled beneath Jack's surface as he considered the implications. This could be a clue about Emma's family, or maybe even a connection to the town's past. The echoes of whispers in the crowd shifted as they gathered, curiosity mingling with hope. Maybe it belonged to your family, Emma suggested gently, her voice soothing. It might help us learn about them. Jack marveled at her wisdom. She had embraced the concept of family not only in blood but in spirit, bridging the gaps with her innate kindness. As the rain drizzled softly around them, Jack's gaze drifted back to the boy, who started to wipe his mud-stained face with a trembling hand. Jack knelt to meet him at eye level. We're here for you. And we'll help you find out where this locket leads. Together. Suddenly, a stirring murmur swept through the crowd. The townspeople had been watching this unfold, feelings of fear giving way to collective determination. Someone in the back spoke up, what if it tells us about families that need support? Isn't that why we're here? Yes. Another shouted, excitement rippling through. Let us find their stories and bring everyone together. Jack could feel the energy shifting. They weren't just a group anymore, they were a community, resilient and powerful when they stood together. Jack straightened, inspired by the change brewing around him. You all are right. This is more than just a locket. It's about finding common ground. We can create a network of support, a foundation that bolsters every family's need, including the ones we don't know yet. Emma grinned, her joy radiating like the first rays of dawn. We could hold regular meetings. Share stories and memories, like we did tonight. Maybe we can help families in need just like ours. As the townsfolk considered this, the shadows around them began to dissipate, revealing the remnants of a storm less threatening than moments before. Jack felt a swell of pride. He realized that the depths of despair they had faced, the whispers of doubt, the storms outside, the shadows had only served to strengthen their resolve. Let us commit to this, he continued, his voice steady, filled with conviction. Let us gather our stories and use them to unite instead of divide. We can honor families, those we've lost and those who still need our support. With a chorus of affirmations echoing around the group, Jack felt something vital had been born that night. The boy, once lost and afraid, looked around, eyes wide in wonder. Can we find my family too? He asked. Jack nodded, feeling a connection deepen, a purpose kindled in their hearts. We'll find the stories of every family here, including yours. The boy beamed at him, hope flickering brightly. Emma leaned in and added, together, we can help you and everyone else. Her voice was a balm, wrapping the boy and their growing community in warmth. As the rain began to lighten, the team formed a circle, hands clasped together, fingers intertwined, an unbreakable chain of warmth and support. Jack turned to the crowd. Tonight, let us remember this moment, the laughter, the hope, the stories. And let us share them with everyone, spreading the message of our unity far and wide. And just like that, a spark ignited, one of community, courage, and connection, all stemming from the heartwarming discovery of a little boy's plea for help, transforming their pain into something remarkable. Let us celebrate our journey and the strength we've built tonight. This is only the beginning. Jack shouted, raising the locket high, drawing laughter and cheers from the crowd, sound pulsing like music in the air. As they stood together side by side, heart to heart, Jack felt a sense of peace settle softly over him. The storms would come and go, he knew, but together, they could always stand strong. They had found their way back home together. And this was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on these exclusive stories that touch hearts like this one. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm. Tell me your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending in the comments below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation.